This is DRF Race of the Day.
Everybody, Mike Beer here. I got your Sunday DRF Race of the Day here. We're going to Belmont Park for race number 9, the Grade 3 Poker Stakes, $250,000 purse, 1 mile on the Widener turf course for this field of stakes quality runners. I mean, it's not the strongest Grade 3 turf race you're ever going to see in your life. Let's take a look at the field right here. 9 horses entered, led by the very heavily favored even money morning line shot Raging Bull, coming off of a Grade 1 win in his seasonal debut here as a 6-year-old. He really does kind of stand out in this field. Quick mention here that, of course, you can get free formulator past performances for this race at the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. This race really does go through Raging Bull. He's already a 3-time Grade 1 winner in his career. He's facing Grade 3 competition in this spot. This is his distance. I feel like they're probably running him in this race because they probably want to keep this horse at around a mile for the rest of the year. This is really this horse's favorite distance. He has won going longer in the past, but he's really a miler. He's the kind of horse who has a devastating stretch kick when he is right. And, you know, maybe he's going to need a little bit of pace to develop for him. That wasn't necessarily the case last time. It didn't seem like, not that the Maker's Mark didn't have a fast pace for him to run at, but it felt like he was a little bit of a different horse in that spot while keeping closer to the pace than usual and still having the same finish. And at the end of the day, he's just not facing that strong a field in Sunday's poker. So he's going to take a ton of beating in this race. Let's start off the discussion by taking a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector. You can see there that they have the 7 raised out there on the early lead. That horse is going to be a big long shot. He's 50-1 on the morning line. Get Smokin' is more likely the kind of horse to go forward in here. He's a horse who wants to be up on the pace. He doesn't necessarily, have to go fast to get there, but he wants to be on the lead, and that's his best running style. And he's actually a very talented horse, Get Smokin'. He's a horse who, if you let him get comfortable in front, not only does he have the talent to take a field like this all the way, but he's a really game horse in the stretch. He doesn't just let you come and challenge him and go right on by. He'll fight you for it. Very nice horse. We'll see how fast he has to go. One thing that you want to make note of in reference to this pace projector, however, is that Chad Brown, along with his morning line favorite, Raging Bull, has also entered another horse in here, the number 3, Veronese. And Veronese is owned by the same owner as Raging Bull, Peter Brent. And it feels like Veronese is in here perhaps to be a rabbit and a pace setter for Raging Bull. Veronese does not obviously show on the pace projector because he's never run in North America, but this is a horse who, is shipping over with some, pretty modest form over in France throughout his career so far. He has not been seen since September of 2019. It's a very long layoff for this horse, but the last time he ran, they used him as a pace setter for his stablemate Satsas, who then went on to win the Pre-Neal, the Group 2 Pre-Neal over there. So it feels like Veronese is in here to do the same thing for Raging Bull in this race. So while the 7 and the 4 are headlining that pace projector, don't be surprised when they open the gates and Veronese is sending for the front here. It feels like that's the only reason that he's in the race. We've already talked about Raging Bull. I really don't want to get, too much deeper into this horse who's going to be a very short price, but let's just take a look before we move on. Let's take a look at his most recent race. This is off the layoff at Keeneland, the Grade 1 Maker's Mark Mile, and he just wins this race very impressively. And again, the thing that was most impressive about it is, yes, there was a fast pace in front of him again in this race, but he just got position going forward this time, which has not been his typical running style. He was never that far away, sort of racing in mid-pack all the way, but always traveled strongly in there. Made actually an early move around the second turn to go take on those pace setters and had the race taken over basically by the time they got to the top of the stretch. He won easily from there. Just a really nice performance. I feel that was a career best effort for Raging Bull, and he probably doesn't even have to run that well to win back in this kind of a spot. The main competition for him comes from Get Smokin'. I think this is a horse who did just win the Seek again over a mile on this Widener turf course here at Belmont Park. But it's just the kind of race where, he just got absolutely turned loose on the lead and nobody went with him in there. Tell Your Daddy, who's also back in this spot, if you go back and watch the replay of that race, Tell Your Daddy, who actually has pretty good tactical speed, was forward away in that race. And for whatever reason, his rider just took a hold of him, did not let him get anywhere near Get Smokin' on the lead, and they basically conceded the race to this horse. He went 48-3 for the first half mile of that race, and then he went 45-1 for the second half mile of the race. He had plenty left in the stretch. He was never really in any danger of losing. He's a really, really nice horse. The pace is supposed to be a little bit different for him in this race, and he's obviously facing a much better horse in Raging Bull. The other horse who I guess will take money in here is Chad Brown's other runner, the number 6 Front Run, the Fed. He's got some credentials to make himself a player in here. He also does have good tactical speed, so perhaps that will work to his advantage. We saw him off the layoff back in April here at Belmont Park going 7 furlongs in the elusive quality. He ran fine in that race. He came up short as the favorite, missing by a head. But Casa Creed, the horse who wound up winning that race, came right back and won the Grade 1 Jaipur in his next start with a 106 Beyer speed figure. The horse that finished very close in third, Value Proposition, another Chad Brown runner. He came back to win his next start with a triple-digit Beyer. So it's been a pretty live race. This horse ran fine in there. I am not a big Front Run the Fed fan. He's not the kind of horse I ever want to have any money on when he's a short price in his races. And I guess he could be either the second or third choice in here. He can win. It feels like 7 furlongs to a mile around one turn is what he really wants to do. I'm just not much of a fan of his. And if I was going to try to beat a horse like Raging Bull, and I'm not going to try to beat him, it probably wouldn't be with a horse like Front Run the Fed. I couldn't really talk myself into any of the other, sort of longer prices in the race. Maybe one of them will get the right setup and luck into a decent run in here. But I'm not trying to beat Raging Bull in this race. I have him right on top in here. I went 1, 6, 4, and 5. Sunday's DRF race of the day, the Grade 3 Poker Race 9 at Belmont Park. The horse to beat, the horse to beat is Raging Bull. Approximate post time 5:12 Eastern. Good luck.